Hello, I'm making this video so that the information can be used in any way possible to help the victims that passed away at Astroworld. I don't mean to offend anybody. Everything I'm saying is only what I saw and first-hand accounts of what happened. I was in the very front mosh pit with one other male friend. He was grabbing at his chest and it looked like he was having a hard time breathing, so we were trying to leave. When I turned around, we both saw multiple unconscious bodies. My friend claims that he saw what looked to be five possible corpses. I cannot confirm that. I know for a fact that I saw two young men that unfortunately looked as if they had passed. When we turned around and we saw this, I immediately started helping rotate compressions on the gentleman. There was a nice lady there who had an Apple Watch that was timing how long we were doing the compressions. We did the compressions until official help arrived. There was some medical personnel, then security, then I think the police in that order. It may be slightly different. But where I was, there was two main gentlemen that we were trying to help. Once the professional help arrived, we all rotated compressions, and while not doing compressions, I did my best to stop the crowd from going over top of these gentlemen and the people doing compressions, because right as this was happening was literally probably from the background from what I could hear maybe was right when Drake was coming out, and we were very close to the stage and we were in the direct center, I suppose. I will attach a normal Instagram post with all the details that I can. I've seen posts now saying that there was 8 people that passed away at Astroworld, and I've seen the photos. Unfortunately, none of those 8 people were the 2 people that I basically know for a fact passed away. We did compressions until the gentlemen's faces turned colors, and they started, and the one gentleman had fluids coming from him, unfortunately. Once the police got there, we then switched to trying to get a gurney because both of these gentlemen were larger gentlemen, so it was very hard to move these gentlemen. The gurney then got there, and unfortunately there weren't enough professional people, police officers and security, that could lift the gentleman. They were both very heavy gentlemen. Nonetheless, I had to help pick up the gurney, and I suppose there was a VIP section behind us, so there was a fence maybe up to my chest, and so we had to hoist the body up over the fence on the gurney, and it took many men, and unfortunately not enough people were helping. So as we're putting the body on the fence, it began to slip towards the other side, and then I had to jump over to the other side and grab the gurney and prop it up right here like this before it eventually fell. We carried the body all the way to the medical tent where we dropped the body, and I was in complete shock, and I turned around, and unfortunately the larger of the 2 gentlemen was coming, and they were dropping the gurney because there was just not enough men to help carry the gurney. So I immediately ran back and grabbed the second gurney. Then the entire time that we were carrying the body, I'm screaming out to any able-bodied guy that can help grab this body, the gurney, because I'm holding it and my wrist is going, and I'm screaming to anyone in the crowd, please come help us. And there were some amazing people who did. And by the time we arrived in the medical tent with the first body, there was just so many young, just like civilian, random people, guys, who helped carry the body with the police on the gurney in. It was very traumatic. There's also a video on Twitter and a story of a young lady who was dropped while on a gurney by the Houston police. It just seems odd that that these people, I don't know the details, but I just want to make sure that these people are not forgotten. 2 of these men were definitely deceased, and none of these men were in the initial photos of the 8 men or 8 people that passed away, unfortunately. And I would just love that if we can identify these men and share this video. I think I have a photo of the gentleman. I saw a photo where they're looking for identity of a young man, and it looks like one of the 2 men, but it was 2 men that were down and looked to have been deceased, unfortunately. Can we reshare this and get answers to the questions of what happened to these men and what happened to the poor girl who was dropped by the Houston Police Department while on the gurney? This was a massive tragedy. I'm so sorry that to have witnessed all this, it was just a terrible event, and all the people that helped and all the young security guards and the young police officers, it was so traumatic seeing all these young people pass away in public. And it was just a really terrible event. When I was there, I was wearing these blue shorts here and this hockey jersey. If anybody recognized me, I know a lot of people saw a lot of things, and I'm just hoping people step up and speak up so we can find some answers for these things and why they happen, and hopefully work to prevent this from ever happening again. I'm so sorry for all these people and their families. I can't imagine what you guys went through. There were so many amazing people who tried so hard to help them. At the same time, there was a lot of people who did a lot of things that didn't help the situation. There were men running back and forth while we were doing compressions the entire time, and we had to fight very hard to keep the crowd back. They were completely short-staffed at the event. It was so terrible to have to perform compressions on these extremely young men, and it was just so terrible. There was the event was completely understaffed, and it was equally terrible to have to carry that body from about the front mosh pit to the medical tent. And then when I was at the medical tent, once this was all done, they just kind of kicked me out, and it was just it was just all terrible. I hope that this can never happen again, and I'm just really sorry to have witnessed this.